Here, you were shooting that in Toronto.
Yeah. And that was, I would say, the first direct result of. I don't think I would have got that had I not been with GTA, because the director, Jason Kochek, saw that I was Trevor. And he's, like many directors are in their 20s. So they're gamers. And they're, if nothing else, they're like, I just want to work with this guy.
Wow.
Even if he's a terrible actor, just this is Trevor. So that was the first sort of direct thing. But, even talking there with Kevin about it's the voice acting thing. I mean, it was a motion capture performance. The entire thing was motion captured. So the voice work was really only done near the end when we got into a studio and did right into a mic for some of the car scenes where we're just talking.
I was wondering how this works, because it's sort of very realistic animation that we see in Grand Theft Auto 5. So what does motion capture mean?
Motion capture is you're basically in almost a spandex suit that you wear, which is for some flattering and for others not so flattering because there's nothing really to hide. And you're covered in these reflective balls, essentially, all over, these little tiny, like marbles, all over you. On your head, you have a helmet, and you've got these bars with a bright light and a camera right on you. So that's right in your face. So even when you're talking, like if we were doing this scene motion capture, we would be suited up, we would be in seats, we'd have a table, we'd have a mic, and we'd be talking to each other through these sort of, bars and cameras. And then we've got our fingers, we've got our toes. And what you can see up on the screen is your actual, I used to call it my avatar. They didn't like when I said my avatar, but I was like, that's my avatar. You can see everything.
Why didn't they like it?
I don't know. I have no idea. I never asked. I just, whatever.
So it is 100% acting. Every
100%
bone
acting.
of your body, right?
Oh, yeah.
For those who haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5, and this is a really interesting character that you play. Not a particularly
Sweet
one. Yeah. Can you describe Trevor for people? How would you describe him?
Troubled. He's troubled. I mean, he's. I tried to do things like the loyalty. I mean, he does have a loyalty. He does have a sense of humor. However dark and sick and twisted it is, there is humor in him. I mean, which is, when people say, "Oh, I found myself laughing and a little uncomfortable laughing," I'm like, "Okay, great. I did my job as far as I'm concerned." Didn't want to make him this one-note psychopath. But he's, he needs that rush. He needs the rush of the be it the drugs or the crime or whatever that fuels him. But he's also incredibly loyal to those around him. If you cross him, he'll.
It's interesting because the character is so extreme. He's almost a parody of a bad guy, and yet he feels real. How do you make him real?
That was the big challenge. How do you make this guy who's larger than life real? And it was just really about finding the connection with another person. I mean, you find the sense of humor with this guy, find his relationship to other people. And if you're doing your job as an actor and you're communicating those words and you're really talking to the other person, the humanity is going to come through, regardless of the situation, be it ridiculous or not.
It feels like we live in an era of amoral bad guys in films and TV, to choose from as influences if you were looking for one. Did you have inspirations from your own viewing, or were you out to make Trevor your own?
The biggest, because I'm not a fan of copycatting by any means, but certainly one performance that I recognized that was an influence in there a lot. But I had some strange influences that came into the actual performance of Trevor. But Tom Hardy in the movie Bronson, the movie itself, that sort of glorified, I felt, this terrible man, Bronson. I loved the film, but it was somewhat of a glorification. But that performance that Tom Hardy gave had that larger-than-life theatricality to it, but there still was this humanity and sense of humor, even though I didn't like the guy. So what Tom Hardy did with Bronson, I certainly looked to that, but then I also looked at a film like Bullhead, where he has this intensity. So certain roles like that, I certainly looked at and watched.
Well, one of the things your character Trevor does in this game, I mean, I guess the most controversial aspect of the game is torture someone very, very brutally. Describe what you had to do in that scene.
That one was just purely, all I really remember was the technical shooting of that. I mean, you know, the only difference with all these mediums, TV, film, theater, video games now, is the technical aspect. So to film that, I just had to be aware of, you know, we had different sort of instruments, and the actor sitting in the chair, you can't, for lack of a better word, touch balls or cross balls because then the animators can't animate it. So you have to be very aware of where you're interacting with the person. So in that particular scene, and then you have dialogue. So I'm just thinking about, okay, how can I get it in there without crossing so that the animators can do their job? So I'm sort of thinking of the whole team and the technical aspect.
You're not necessarily thinking you tear a guy's teeth out with pliers, you waterboard him, you break his kneecaps.
I'm not thinking like, oh, what are the social ramifications of this?
You don't have discomfort in acting that.
No, that was just doing that.
This raises the question. Simon Parkin, writing in The New Yorker, discussed his own discomfort merely playing the game, right, as a gamer. And he wrote that video games might actually have a greater moral responsibility than cinema because, as he put it, when we watch a violent scene in a film or read a description of violence in a novel, no matter how graphic it is, we are merely spectators. In video games, we are active, if virtual, participants. What do you make of that? Do you think video games should be judged with a higher moral bar than other art forms?
No, because I think, you know, the torture scene is no better or worse than what you see, even like what Breaking Bad does. I mean, there's even on television now, forget the cinema, what we see on TV is getting more and more graphic and more violent. And I understand his point regarding that because you're the first player, the interaction might heighten it, but
and is a kid playing that going to have the context or the moral nuances, you know?
I think if the kid has good parenting, I mean, I'm kind of old school with the idea of if you have parents that communicate. Now, we get it, okay, what if you don't have the parenting, you don't, but it's not the video game's fault. It's just like video games don't cause violence any more than the heavy metal music causes violence. I think that whole argument is like those are people that sit back and probably don't do anything about it. You know, you got to participate. I mean, if you have a child playing these games, talk to your child. Why do you like watching this? What's exciting about this? And it's that is the problem. I think the human communication needs to strengthen and quit worrying about.
My name is Sean Fontino, but everybody know me in the streets as Solo.
Yeah, not just Solo! Everybody got love for Big Solo, man. Solo was the nigga.
Watts, man, from LA, and I'm currently the video game actor for GrandTheftAuto 5. I play the character Franklin.
Fuck you, bitch! Oh, you trying to roll on me, fool? You can't repo the assets of a dead man, big sitting cheap asshole.
Well, from a teenager, man, you know, I was a rebellious little dude, man. At that time when I was living with my grandmother, I was from a neighborhood around here called Neighborhood Crips. I got into the streets, man. You know, I was young, I was probably like 12. But you can pull a lot over on your grandmother and your grandparents than you could over on your parents.
A little bit of trouble when they're young. Well, you know, we lived through all of the trouble part of it.
I can honestly say that I know what it feels like to be on both sides of the gun, you know what I'm saying? That's what I went through in my life, man. From coming from selling drugs and gangbanging, being in the worst shit in my life, well, I call it hell.
Los Angeles approach control, this is Cessna 0281 Echo 119.3, over. Cessna 81 Echo, Los Angeles approach control, roger.
I was classified at that era as a baller.
You had it all, everything. You know, you already know.
Nigga had birds, money, Lolos, SS Impalas.
Now this right here is the house I grew up in, man, 374. It look a lot better than what we had, man, you know what I'm saying? When the bullshit came, man, when this is where it came from. Before that, man, you know, I was just a normal little kid. Just crazy, man. I got so many memories right there, man, selling crack, shootouts, motherfucker try to kick the dough in on me and my moms and my sister. A lot of shit came from this house to that house, man. We used to stand out with guns right there, guns right here. When motherfuckers come up the street, major shootout, man. Non-stop, dude. You ain't nothing but a punk. I got Young Melee, man. Y'all know who Young Melee is, man. The world know who this motherfucker is, man.